I'm drowning, I'm drowning. Wrist so icy, wonder why she like me, bitch, I'm drowning. In water, I just bought a cube and dipped it in a fountain.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
Hey everybody, how's it going? It's been a little while since I last uploaded a Can You Be Goku video, so I decided to come back with a little bit of style. And I know I wasn't planning on doing an Anos video, I didn't list that in my list of videos at the end of the last video, but actually this is a request from a friend, so I figured why not, plus it's a character I kind of wanted to do in the first place. So, today we're going to be covering Anos Voltigoat from the Misfit of Demon King Academy versus Goku, the legendary Super Saiyan. Although technically that's Broly, but you get my point. Anyways, let's get straight into it. So you probably already know who Anos is, but just in case you don't, I'll give you a very brief backstory. So way back in the Mythical Age, which is basically his universe's version of, I guess, the Caveman Age or the Stone Age in our universe, Anos used to be a Demon Lord of Tyranny, or Demon King of Tyranny, and basically he was actually kind of a good guy, but people just always thought of him as like a mass murderer, you know, who was just plain evil. So in order to cause peace and basically prevent all the war between all the lands, he willingly killed himself, basically, and just reincarnated himself into a body 2,000 years later. And in that time, he has to go to a Demon King Academy, because that academy is meant to find the reincarnation of the Demon King, but no one knows he's the Demon King. So, it's a whole thing, but basically, he's extremely powerful, and I'll go over some of his hacks and strength right now. So Anos actually has some pretty insane feats. Strength-wise, he once picked up a castle with one hand effortlessly and just tossed it like it was a piece of candy or something. And then he also moved the moon. People think it's a spell, and he just used the spell to move the moon, but the spell is only to grab the moon, but he moved it with his own physical strength. So he's clearly powerful enough to literally move stars and moons. Okay, the moon isn't a star, but you get my point. He can move moons effortlessly and throw castles with one hand, so clearly his physical strength is on a whole other level compared to pretty much most of fiction. Speed-wise, he's actually really fast. There's a feat where he was fighting, I guess, a time deity, and he stopped time and just straight up kept moving. He was like, you really thought stopping time would be enough to stop me from moving? Like, yeah, of course someone would think that's enough to stop you from moving, but apparently he can just defy the laws of physics like that, because, you know, he's just that guy. He also has some pretty insane durability. When he was fighting that same time deity I was just talking about, he got stabbed and was supposedly killed, but apparently he's immortal, because he said, did you think that killing me was enough to make me die? Which is just, dude, this guy has all sorts of hacks, and I'm not even sure if they're just hacks or if it's just his innate abilities, but they're just insane regardless. Some of his other hacks include flight, teleportation, and he also possesses magic eyes that can destroy concepts, such as law and order, and I don't mean the TV series either. So, yeah, his hacks are pretty stacked. There's so many of them that honestly it'd probably take me a whole video just to list them all. So, yeah, that's about that for his hacks. And of course, we can't forget about his magic sword, Venus de Noah, which can cut through, I think, anything. Time, space, law, order. Basically a more powerful version of his destructive eyes, except, you know, a handheld version. But the only downside to it is that he can only use it when he's in proximity to his castle. However, he can summon his castle up next to him for up to 5 minutes at a time. So technically he can use Venus de Noah wherever he wants for 5 minutes. So, yeah, that's a pretty good hack. So you may be wondering how Anos manages to stand a chance against Goku, even with all these hacks and abilities that I mentioned, because some of these abilities aren't really all that high tier compared to other verses in fiction. And it all has to do with the cosmology of Anos' universe, which is kind of weirdly formed. So the basis of Anos' cosmology is the Silver Sea. The Silver Sea is kind of, as it sounds, literally a sea, in a sense, and the first dimension is shallow, is high up, and the 99th dimension, because it has 99 dimensions, is deep. So people say that because Anos is incredibly strong, and he's been shown to be able to destroy universes before, he can destroy any universe in the Silver Sea. And supposedly the universe and the Silver Seas transcend one another, so like the second dimension would transcend the first one, and the 99th one would transcend the third one by like an insane degree. But that's not actually how the cosmology works whatsoever. Each layer of the Silver Sea has bubbles, and within these bubbles there's an infinite amount of universes, supposedly. So each layer of the Silver Sea has an infinite amount of universes, which is impressive. But the problem mainly comes from people believing that each layer of the Silver Sea transcends the other by an inaccessible amount. And that's the requirement for Hyper-Versal tier on Versus Battles Wiki, which is why people place Anos so high compared to Goku, who's only 2C on the wiki, versus Anos, who's 1B. Considering the layers of the Silver Sea don't transcend one another, it only makes sense to place Anos at Multiversal to Multiversal Plus. He can destroy infinite universes, I'm not denying that, but they don't transcend one another, so it doesn't make sense for him to qualify for Outerversal or Hyperversal or any other exceptionally high tier that people claim he's actually at. And in case you don't want to just take my word for it and see some evidence, here's a scan from this guy named Truth of Piety, or Destruction of Piety as he's known on YouTube. His scan was very helpful for this video because I couldn't find it by myself, so I'm going to leave a link down below to his channel because I could not find the scan and this video would have been completely incomplete without it. So this scan proves that mana flows freely between all the layers of the Silver Sea, and if the layers were superior to each other and they inaccessibly transcended one another, mana would not be able to flow freely. Plus, it also kind of debunks mana, because if mana is able to flow freely between all the layers, if they actually are superior, the mana wouldn't be able to be contained within the Silver Sea, since it would mean that it's a higher dimensional construct than the Silver Sea itself, but it's clearly not since it's able to flow freely between the Silver Sea, meaning it's all just one layer, but it has different depths of dimensions, if that makes any sense. So, that's the debunk. By now, I'm sure you're wondering what my opinion is on the Goku versus Anos fight, and I have to say, hacks-wise, Anos steals the fight easily. He outscales Goku in every hack possible. It's just ridiculous how many hacks he has. Goku has instant transmission, Kamehameha, he can fly, he has Kaioken, Ultra Instinct, but that just pales in comparison to what Anos can do. I mean, it's just kind of ridiculous how many hacks he has, actually. But thankfully, as we've already established, Goku can just outstrength all of Anos' hacks because he scales higher than he does, due to being at least 2 tiers higher. So, ultimately, Anos' hacks don't do anything to Goku, and he just blitzes and one-shots Anos. So, I know it's kind of a lame way to win the fight, considering all the hacks Anos has, but that's just how it's gonna go. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and for the person I made this video for who made the request, I hope you enjoyed it too, even though it may not have been the outcome you were hoping for. So, I'll see you all in the next one, and see you later.